11 a.m. on this Monday morning. A very good Monday morning to you, and thank you so much for tuning in to Valley News Live. We have a special report for you this Monday morning, a story that we broke first right here on Valley News Live. NDSU Director of Athletics Gene Taylor announced this morning he is leaving the university to take a new job at the University of Iowa. He'll be the #2 in the athletics department there. Beth Houle, of course, with our Valley News Live sports team, one of the people really helping break this story for us today. Talk about this impact to the university.
I mean, this is something I think you had to see coming a little bit. You know, Gene Taylor, extremely successful. He's had quite the resume when it comes to success at NDSU, especially here in the recent past. You know, he saw everybody through that transition into Division I, which was huge. It's no easy task either, and he's had a ton of success. This is huge. This is a big deal that he's leaving. It can't be expected, but
let's go right live to the Fargo Dome now, where Gene Taylor getting ready to address the media.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to read some comments. I'm sure the over and under of me getting emotional is pretty high, but I'm not sure how that works. If it's good, if it's going to happen quick, is it a high or low thing? I'm not sure. First of all, I'd like to thank Gary Barta for this exciting opportunity to be a part of the Hawkeye Athletics and the University of Iowa. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Gary. I got to know Gary. Probably one of the first things I had a chance to visit with was Gary when I got the job here as a former athlete. He and I spent a lot of time talking about the move to Division I. Believe it or not, he actually wasn't that supportive of the move, but eventually was very, very instrumental in helping me through that. And as things have changed, I've relied on Gary a great deal in terms of leaning on him for information. And what I've found through working with Gary was he and I think a lot of on the same lines. You know, believe it or not, even though there is a tremendous amount of size difference, not tremendous amount, some size difference between NDSU and Iowa, philosophically, there's a lot of things that are very, very similar in terms of focus on athletics, academics, and doing the things the right way. And I think that's one of the reasons that this job was somewhat attractive to me. Well, I just want to thank President Brashani, his friendship and support have been tremendous. He's a really good friend to me personally and my family, and I couldn't ask for a better person to work with. So I'll miss him a great deal, and I hope someday our paths will cross, and I'm sure they will. But he is a phenomenal guy to work with. You know, the last 13 years in NDSU, have been filled with great memories. This place is a special place. Somebody crack a joke, would you? You know, I've been very fortunate. This state, this community, this region, this institution, this athletic program has meant a tremendous amount to me and my family. I can never, ever say thank you enough to this place. When we got here, I'll never forget, my wife said this, and I don't think she really meant it. She goes, well, I can do 3 to 5 years in Fargo. I said, honey, it's not a prison sentence. But after 13 years of just an incredible fun ride and friendships that will last forever, and memories that will last forever, made primarily through a very, very passionate, supportive fan base. Memories of how much, when I say you, I talk about Fargo, North Dakota, the region, the community have really supported our program, have been with us through thick and thin and very tough decisions, good times and bad times. The support that I've felt personally and professionally has been nothing short of phenomenal. So obviously this community and the NDSU community is very, very special, and I'll owe you a great deal for many, many years to come. I've had the pleasure to come to work with the most talented and dedicated, I did this morning, staff there is in the country. I am very, very fortunate to come to work every day with people that make my life easier. we are, when the success we've had, a lot of times some people get more credit than they deserve, and certainly sometimes I feel like I have gotten way more credit. But the coaches, the staff, the administrators, the support staff have been phenomenal. And I literally am honored to come to work every day. They are the most hardworking professionals, and they are the best in the business. And the reason for the success we've had is the people that are behind the media here that you don't get a chance to see, except for maybe the head coaches. But I tell you what, this place is going to be good for a long time because of the people in this room, and not necessarily the person that's going to be the athletic director. Student athletes, my goodness, how lucky have I been to watch some of the best young men and women in the country represent our institution. God dang it. The pleasure that we've experienced, we being my family and this institution, watching these kids compete, I can't tell you how enjoyable it has been. They are obviously phenomenal athletes, phenomenal at what they do on the field, but more important what they do off the field and in the classroom. I've been very fortunate that many of these athletes have become friends of myself and my family, and I know they will be for years to come. But one of my best part of my jobs, and I tell people this all the time, is watching these young men compete and train, and women compete and train and be ready for competition at the highest level. And trust me, and you all know that, our men and women in our athletic program, our student athletes, have competed and shown who we are at NDSU and can take on anybody in the country. And so for those student athletes, from the time I started to today, I'll never be able to thank you enough for the pleasure you've given me and my family watching you compete and represent this institution. There are many, many more athletes that are going to come through here. You've got great coaches, you've got a great supportive community, and we've been very, very fortunate to watch you compete and have enjoyed every minute of it. Whoever becomes the next athletic director will be very, very fortunate to walk into this place. Whoever gets this job, and I think it's the gym in the country, will be lucky to come to work every day because of the staff that they get to come to work with. I want to thank, I've received a ton of well wishes already, emails, text messages, Twitter. I didn't know that I would be answering so many social media things, but it has been phenomenal. I will try to get to everybody and respond to them individually, but I'm just give me some paid time here, but I can't thank you enough and tell you how much it means for all the well-wishers and people that I've received of some wonderful, wonderful comments. And so thank you for that. Got a lot of great friends in this room that I've tried to reach out to and thank. We've got a lot of tremendous supporters financially of this program that have become great, great friends of mine. And I'll miss them a great deal, and I hope we'll continue to be friends for a long time to come. And finally, I'd like to thank my kids and Kath. By the way, they're going with me. I'm not leaving them here. But they're obviously been very, very supportive. It's very hard on them. This is their home. You know, Jared had visions of being the next whatever at Davies High School. The Iowa high schools are going to be lucky to have him. Good news is Casey's still going to be here at NDSU, and she's excited about that. And she'll be a great, great graduate of NDSU, and I can't think of a better partner and friend than my wife that's helped me through all this. So with that, I'm going to quit talking so I can quit crying and turn it over to President Ricciardi.
Well, I think Casey's actually just excited that she can finally park at the president's house without her parents complaining. my comments are very brief, but I think it's the ultimate compliment to the exceptional gentleman sitting to my left, his family, and the staff, both administrative and coaching staff, that he has brought, developed, and matured at NDSU. As a president, you never know what the public's reaction is going to be to big breaking news. It can be antagonistic, it could be positive, it could be everything in between. I've been melting cell phone batteries, but it's been with emails that aren't predicting the sky is falling, that the world's over, what are we going to do? It's been what a fantastic opportunity for Gene Taylor, and this program is going to do just fine. We will get someone of Gene Taylor's caliber in here again, but he has built such a solid, exceptional program and then staffed it with some of the best people in the country that there is no panic. People are confident this program will maintain the trajectory that it's on. It's going to continue to be exceptional, and it's going to continue to reflect what Gene Taylor's vision was for one of the winningest Division I programs in the nation, and done the right way. And I say that having been at 4 Division I schools. I can tell you both the philosophy of the athletic department and the philosophy of the staff Gene has brought here is singular. And it's do it and do it in the right way. And that's the only way to be successful at NDSU, and he's accomplished that. So, Gene, thank you very much for the legacy you will leave behind and the tradition you've been a part of creating at NDSU.
Thank you, President.
Open the floor to questions. Please direct your questions to one of the microphones on each side of the room.
Gene, with the overall success that the athletic department has had in the last calendar year, does that make it this transition a little bit easier, knowing that the foundation has been laid for something that could last a little bit longer than yourself?
Well, as you can tell by my opening, it's not going to be easy, but you know, obviously this has been a great place, and you know, it's never an easy time to leave, certainly, but with the staff that we've hired recently and clearly the success, you feel pretty good going out with when you know it's going to continue on an upward trajectory. I mean, there's no question that confidence I have in the staff and the coaches that have been hired and the people that are going to be here, that nothing's going to change, and our student athletes. Like I said, this isn't about one person. The old arm in a bucket of water thing holds true, particularly at NDSU, that I'm very excited about the future of this program for many, many years to come.
Gene, did you get a sense that this was coming? I don't know if you were actively looking, but after hiring a replacement for Craig and for Saul, was it something like this is as good as it's ever going to get this past calendar year?
Well, you don't want to look at it that way. I mean, obviously, you know, to be able to leave with the success we've had has been nice. You know, certainly my goals personally and professionally have always been to, you know, be at the BCS level. And Gary Barta, like I said, has become a friend and a mentor. He started talking to me, you know, several months ago about this position he may create. And in talking to, you know, I do want to be a BCS athletic director someday. I had that as a vision when I was at Arizona State, and you know, maybe the way to get about it is different for some than others. But again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, how Iowa operates, who they are as an athletic program in the Big Ten, their focus is very similar and very close to what we do here at NDSU. And my relationship with Gary, I think, will be easy to work with him. But it was a little bit of a surprise when he first approached me about it.
Do you feel taking this position at Iowa is a move up or a means to get to that goal that you just mentioned versus staying here at NDSU?
Yeah, I do, and some may not necessarily agree with that. I think the people in the business, I mean, believe me, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to about this because I knew it was going to be such an agonizing decision. And those that I talked to in the profession, including Gary, have indicated that if the BCS route is the way I want to go, this may be the step I may have to take. And there are examples of that. Jeff Long, who's currently at Arkansas, was at FCS school and made a step to a deputy position at Oklahoma. But, you know, there's not a whole lot of step-ups from NDSU, I can be honest with you. No matter how they operate, who we are as a program, there are very, very few places that are a step-up to NDSU. And, you know, I don't know if Iowa certainly is that because it's a Big Ten school. But in terms of who we are as a program, there are very few places that are step up.
If you think back to when you first started here, did you ever think all of these successes were possible?
Well, you know, obviously we knew the transition from 2 to 1 was going to be a challenge. We knew as our goal was to have that success level. I mean, if you ask some of the coaches in the room that were part of the transition, coaches like Amy Rulli and Bucky Mon and those kind of folks that were part of the transition, they said, don't do this unless you're going to be successful. And I knew when I got here, there's a very special place in terms of how they operate and who they are. And I felt once we got through the transition with the coaches we had, we were going to be successful. Now, did I ever dream of 3 national championships and multiple conference championships and super regionals and softball and the national programs of the track accomplished? You know, I don't know that you can actually truly believe that, but you dream about it. And when it comes true, it's you got to pinch yourself and go, wow, that's pretty special.
What accomplishments are you most proud of, Gene?
Oh boy. You know, I would have to say, Mike, how we handled the transition and the immediate success that we had, and the fact that we were able to build so much on that early success that we're enjoying today. I think the group of student athletes that they're all going to be special, but that group of student athletes that got us through the transition, those 2 10-1 football teams, those young men and women that came here to be a national championship at the Division II level, that when we made the decision, we looked in their eye and said, guess what? You don't get to be a national championship. You get to be a part of building something. Those people gave a lot. And that group of student athletes and those coaches will always be special because they helped get us to where we are today.
Anything you can say to students, athletes, and staff who next year will have quite a few new leaders on board?
You know, they're going to be in great hands. Whether that's, I don't know if this is legal or not, whether you're a recruit or a person considering NDSU, this is a phenomenal place. They've got great coaches, experienced coaches, new coaches. Like President Brashani, I know him and how he operates, and he will find an individual that will be phenomenal to lead this program. As I said before, whoever gets and I mean an opportunity to come in here and be the athletic director at North Dakota State is going to be very, very fortunate, because this is a phenomenal place and it'll continue to be successful no matter who's at the helm.
Gene, you talked about your ultimate goal here. Are you expecting a 3 to 5 year sentence at Iowa as well?
Well, you know, I don't know that Gary would, but Gary and I talked about this, and he said, Gene, I want you to come here and be here for 5 to 8 years, but he said, you know, if you're here, give me 2 at a minimum, and I want somebody whose goal is to be a BCS athletic director. And that means I'm going to come in there and, you know, obviously going to work hard and do everything I can to help him and make his, you know, he's a very busy man. I think there's a lot of things going on in Iowa. I think it was in the press release. He's going to see a lot of changes in the near future. He thought this is an opportunity to help him, you know, guide through those changes. But, you know, certainly you never know. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be here at 13 years. I didn't think I was going to be at the Naval Academy 15 years. So I could get myself there and find out it's a, you know, and I'm looking forward to it. For everything that I've heard and people I've talked to, Iowa City is a great place. It's a great college town. And the few people that I had a chance to meet while I was on my interview were phenomenal individuals. But my goal is to absolutely go in there and do as much as I can and hopefully someday be a BCS AD from on that.
This is kind of dovetailing off what Mike asked, but what do you believe your lasting legacy is here in Fargo?
That I cry a lot? I don't know. You know, I think, I don't know. It's tough to define. Those are hard questions to answer, and legacy seems to be too much at this point in time. But you know, I hope when people look back and they see what we did at the Division I level, and I mean, because I get it when I just came back from NAC. I mean, people just scratch their head and can't believe what we've done. And again, it's not about me; it's about the coaches and the student athletes. And I think that'll be one thing is people said we couldn't do it, and oh, you're never going to be successful, and oh, you're just going to fail. And a lot of people have helped prove them wrong. And to me, I think that's going to be the most enjoyable thing I'll remember.
With the national exposure that NDSU's gotten in the last 4 or 5 years, how do you think the school, even after you're gone, continues to do bigger and better things?
Well, I keep going back to the coaches and the people in the room. I mean, they're professionals, and they're committed, and they just know what it takes to be successful here. They know what it takes to build programs and continue to get better. And you know, I'm excited about them being here. I'm disappointed that I don't get a chance to work with a lot of the new coaches, whether it's Chris or Dave or Marn or, you know, some of the new staff we've hired. But I'm excited for NDSU because of who they are, and looking forward to watching them have success. And you know, I'm hoping that the first Iowa game against Northern Iowa is a night game, so I can sneak over and watch Chris beat Iowa State. I wonder if I can get a ticket for that. I don't know. I'll figure that out.
Did the turnover in the coaches in 3 of the schools' athletic departments, notably in football, men's and women's basketball, factor into this decision at all, Gene?
No, actually, it was kind of the opposite. I mean, that probably made it harder to make the decision because I so much wanted to continue working with these guys and helping them through their first couple of years. So it made it harder to say yes than to say to because of the fact that they were new and I wanted to really look forward to working with those guys.
Is there anything you didn't get to accomplish here that you would have liked to before you left?
Yeah, didn't get a chance to sit in my new office at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex. So whoever the new person is, I hope they let me sneak in, at least take a look and see what it looks like. But, you know, honestly, Mike, that's the other reason that I started to look at this. I think a lot of the goals that we set as a department when we got here we're beginning to finally get accomplished when the shovel in the ground hit the BSA project. And I think that was one of the big pieces that I wanted to make sure came to fruition.
You're staying on as AD through the month of July. Will you be involved in the search committee for finding your replacement or part of that hiring process at all?
Well, I certainly hope so, and we're moving very quickly on that process. And Gene has been extremely helpful to me. We have identified the interim athletic director. Prakash Matthew, many of you know, is a long-term 36 years at NDSU, retiring vice president for student affairs. He and his staff work on a day-to-day basis with all of our teams in our athletic department. He'll be stepping in as the interim athletic director. And Dr. Jane Hsu, Assistant Dean of the College of Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Food Sciences, has agreed to chair the committee. Dr. Hsu's been on several vice president search committees as an exceptional faculty leader and very prepared for that role. I would anticipate that we'll move out very quickly with the materials, although given the tight-knit fraternity of Division I athletics, I'm guessing by the end of the day, anyone I'd want to see apply for the job will have already heard about it. So we'll very quickly fill what I think will be an exceptional pool. This is a plum job on a coast-to-coast basis, and Gene's who gets the credit for that. Well, Gene and his coaches and his administrative staff, but Gene's been the architect of that, and NDSU is going to benefit from the fact that we are a job that I think nationwide will be very attractive to a quality pool of candidates.
If I could just echo on President Rashani's comments, I mean, I'm honored that Prakash Matthew is going to fill the interim role. I think the world of him and who he is and what he is as a type of person, and for him to step in after he was finally looking forward to retirement, I think it'll be a phenomenal. And I have the utmost respect for Jane Hsu. I mean, I worked with her in very many committees on campus. She's a true professional. She understands athletics. She loves athletics, and I couldn't think of a better person to chair the search committee. I think she'll do a phenomenal job.
So the interim will take over August 1?
I think Gene and Prakash will probably work that out, depending on Gene's actual travel schedule and such. But both of them are obviously here and going to be able to, I think, provide some overlap so that there'll be a good, very smooth transition on that front.
You're going to hire a search firm, President Rashan? Yours will be handled in-house, or how do you look for that?
No, I don't think there's any necessity to invoke the delay and expense of a search firm. Again, this is a plum job on a coast-to-coast basis. It'll sell itself. And I anticipate that we'll have, as I said, an exceptional pool of candidates.
What attributes must the next candidate have?
You're looking at them. All you have to do is field across the breadth of our program, competitive, if not winning teams, with athletes who are students and successful at that side as well, and an ethical, clean program. And I'm hard-pressed to think of exceptions of that during the last 13 years that Gene's been here. that will be the model that we will continue to use, and it will be the type of candidate that we will exclusively be considering to take over as our next athletic director.
How important is a football background at a football school, football-type school?
Well, I think a breadth of experience is always important. Football, obviously, is a somewhat unique beast at any Division I school because of the breadth, the financial implications, the political implications, and such. So I don't want to make that an exclusive qualification, but at the same time, it certainly has to be one that gets a high priority.
What's the timeline for finding a new athletic director? Is there a target date that you have in mind of putting someone in place?
A saying I once heard is give them a time, give them a date, never give them a time and a date. So Wednesday at 2. Again, I think we're going to be able to move very quickly and efficiently on this. I don't see this being the typical university protracted search process. So a couple of months. I would like as early in fall semester as possible to have that new athletic director here, or at least named.
Safe to say the football game with Iowa is still on in 2016 then?
Yeah, absolutely. Gary's still not happy about that, but yeah, no, it's still on.
He hasn't figured it out. This is just a whole setup. You know?
This is a question for the president. Gene was the point person on the BSA renovation project. Are you concerned with his departure having a potential effect on that project's progress moving forward?
Well, I would be remiss to suggest that Gene leaving helps it. But at the same time, I've heard from many of our major university supporters, and that was the first thing they said is, don't worry, we remain behind the project, we remain behind the athletic program, we remain behind NDSU. And frankly, that project, I think, has come to the level of visibility and scope and impact on our entire community that I don't think anything's going to slow that project down. I would love to have Gene be here through its completion, but at the same time, that's a project that as forward momentum is going to compel it to go on to success and the exceptional finish that Gene's designed it to have.
What do you see as the next challenge for the new athletic director here?
Managing expectations. You know, obviously, there's going to be, you know, the building's going to, you know, continue to make sure that moves forward. But the person coming in is going to have, which is great. This is what makes us all special. We love working here because of the expectations. I hope the person coming in understands what they're walking into. And then managing those expectations, both whether it be from the, you know, the conference championships and national championships, but understanding that that's what they're going to walk into is a pretty high level of expectations, and I hope they enjoy that and embrace it because everybody in this room does, and that's what makes them successful.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right, once again, there it is, about 28 minutes worth of live news conference. Gene Taylor, again, announcing that he is leaving as Director of Athletics at North Dakota State University to take a job as the deputy, essentially the number 2 person in the athletics department at the University of Iowa. Quite emotional there at the beginning for Gene. Obviously, his 13 years in Fargo have made an impact.
Absolutely. You know, I think if you've heard one thing time after time, whenever we've talked about Bison athletics, anything NDSU, they talk about the family orientation and once a Bison, always a Bison. And you've heard that time in and time out as we've continued to bring you these press conferences all year as people have kind of made their departure and taken their next opportunity. And I think you saw exactly how much Gene Taylor takes that to heart. This was his family. This was not an easy decision for him, I'm sure. But like he said, he has goals and dreams as well, and this is that next opportunity for him, and I'm sure it's very hard for him to say goodbye.
Yeah, he talked to a lot of people. It sounds like his dream is to be a BCS athletic director, and he was kind of told this is the next step you're going to have to make. A couple of updates we did learn from Dr. Brashani. The interim athletics director, or director of athletics is I guess how NDSU phrases it, Prakash Matthew, who is a VP, longtime vice president for student affairs at the university, and Dr. Jane Shu, a longtime doctor at the school, will be chairing the search committee. No search firm going to be hired. It seems Dr. Brashani pretty confident that this is a job that people are going to apply for themselves. They're probably right?
We heard it several times from him, a plum job, and I think it'll be exciting to see who they'll get, what sort of applicants they'll get. But this is a very good job. Success, like he said, a clean program. It'll be interesting to see what they can get and what kind of caliber they can get, because they've got big shoes to fill.
All right, well, Jamal Spencer, sports director Jamal Spencer, is once again, we're going to go back out live to the Fargo Dome, and he is joining us once again with outgoing Director of Athletics, Gene Taylor. Jamal?
It definitely sounds weird to say outgoing athletic director Gene Taylor, as you said, will take the deputy athletic director position at the University of Iowa. Was this a surprise to you that the opportunity came up, or when it presented itself, did you jump at it?
I wouldn't say jumped at it. I'll be honest with you. This is a great place. It's been very, very difficult, as you saw today, to say goodbye. I've obviously got a little more time to do that. But the more I got into the position and talked to Gary and interviewed and found out, what it was about, the more I got excited about it. And clearly it's never an easy time to leave, and this is a wonderful, wonderful place. It makes it much harder, but eventually it was a good time for me career-wise and a good opportunity for me career-wise.
I know after 13 years at NDSU, it's hard to say goodbye to so many people, but the transition from Division II to Division I was so tough that people still talk about how hard that was. How rewarding is it for you to go from those tough times to what you have right now at NDSU?
Well, I think that's what makes it special. It probably makes it more difficult because you went through the tough times and you were able to stick around and see the success. Many of my colleagues that went through the transition didn't have that fortunate opportunity, and I did. And so when you have a chance to see it go through it and watch it build into such a phenomenal success story, it'll be something, a source of pride for me forever.
From going from trying to be competitive and winning championships in Division I to the new shack, to practice fields for football, the new Shelley Ellig outdoor facility, raising the budget from $5 to $15 million. There's been so much growth at NDSU in your time here. Do you think it's fair that people point to you directly and say, man, Gene Taylor is the reason why?
I get that. I take it as a compliment, but it is in my ways a lot of not really fair, because we've got a lot of people working hard, development staff, and individuals and coaches that have all been a part of that. So it's a collective group, and it's this whole. And as I said, when I'm pointing out here, I'm talking about the staff that was in the room. Like I said, I get to come to work with every day with the most talented, dedicated people in the country, and they're the reasons for all those things you talked about.
You mentioned earlier today how Iowa and NDSU kind of mirror each other, except that Iowa's just a little bit bigger than NDSU. Specifically talk about that a little bit more to give people a little bit better idea of exactly what you're going into.
Well, we focus on athletic success, but academic success and doing things the right way. We want to recruit the right way and make good decisions and not break the rules. And when I look at Iowa and the Big Ten, they're very much a focused academically and athletically success. Iowa in particular is very similar in terms of a feel, other than the numbers being bigger. Gary's the type of guy that wants to do things the right way, graduated student athletes, and have success, and whether it's nationally or conference-wise. And that's what I got a sense. And to me, if I'm going to work for somebody and go somewhere, I want to work for a place that has the same philosophical ideas that I do in terms of how to run a department.
And this has certainly been the year of the Bison here at NDSU, with 9 teams winning conference championships, going to NCAA tournaments, and it couldn't get much better. You told me that you're going to try to plan to do something big for those teams. And then after losing a football coach and a men's basketball coach and a women's basketball coach, now you step away. Do you think this kind of puts the cap on what an unbelievable year this has been at NDSU?
Well, I hope so. And again, I hope it continues, and I know it will. And that's one thing that I believe that everybody in this room is capable of, is continuing the run that we've had. And whether I'm the person in the seat or somebody else, I think this will go on for many, many years to come.
All right, now the last uncomfortable question. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Is NDSU and Iowa, are they going to be playing sports and things other than football in the near future?
Well, I hope so. I'll certainly push Gary. The other thing I was going to say, that I hope NDSU understands that if we ever have any positions open at Iowa, the first place I'm calling is back here.
I'm sure they won't take that personal.
Absolutely. It'll be fun. Yeah, we hope there's going to be a great relationship down the road. And, Gary's an alum, and, so I'll keep bugging him about it.
All right. Well, congratulations again to you, Jim.
I appreciate it very much.
No problem. Thank you for your time. There you guys, as you said, the outgoing NDSU athletic director, Gene Taylor, going to the University of Iowa to be deputy athletic director. And look out for games in football, basketball, all sports, because Gene's going to try to bug them down there to get NDSU on the schedule.
Be wearing his green and black and gold on those days, I guess.
It'll be quite the outfit.
Jamal, is there a sense, what was the mood like in the room? Obviously a monumental shift Oh, and I guess Jamal can't hear me.
Can't hear you. Well, I'm sure, you know, Gene Taylor definitely referenced the room was full of a lot of different people, a lot of former coaches, a lot of people who have been there with him along the way. And I think that only speaks to his continued effect on the community and this university.
I think we do have Jamal now, and Jamal wanted to ask you, what was the mood like in the room? I mean, you were there for it. It sounds like a lot of people were there. We've seen so many monumental shifts in NDSU athletics over the past few months, but this might be the biggest.
I know when Craig Bohl left NDSU, especially after the success that the football team had, a lot of people went, okay, there's a plan in place. We know we're okay. Gene Taylor is going to make the hire. And when Saul Phillips left, there was the same belief that it's okay. Gene Taylor's in charge. He's going to do the right thing. This program will keep moving forward. He's kind of been seeing Gene Taylor as the architect of Bison athletics in the Division I era. And with so many home runs hired from Roger Kish to Darren Mueller and on, he's continuously running such a great athletic program. And now that he's gone, I think people still have the faith that NDSU will make the right decision, but the man who previously had been making those decisions steps away. And you're right, Kyle, it's a monumental day, and it's a very sad day for a lot of former coaches and current coaches and players in this room because they owe a lot of their success to Gene Taylor.
Of course, commenting there on the softball coach, the wrestling coach, programs across the board have seen success. How important and how useful will that blueprint be that Gene Taylor has created here, Jamal?
I think it'll be a perfect situation for the next athletic director to step into because he doesn't have to do as much work as Gene did to get things going, the transition from Division II to Division I, obviously. But having hired so many coaches who have had success at NDSU, will continue to stay here at NDSU, and have already laid the groundwork, the new athletic director needs to come in and can just build off of what Gene's already done. But there's not much to build because we mentioned the athletic renovations, the successful coaches, the championships. Things are going so well here at North Dakota State that the new athletic director will be in a very fortunate position to kind of just keep the boat afloat. No need to rock the boat.
You get the sense from Gene Taylor himself and from President Brashani, and I guess from probably others in the program, that they're not worried about about finding the right person. They think the right person might even come to them with being such a high-profile job as NDSU has become over the last few years.
Yeah, Kyle, Dean Brashani actually did kind of, mention that the sky's not falling. And he hasn't gotten that, sense from alums and fans and former players and other coaches that everyone is actually pretty confident right now where NDSU is. And because of last year's success in the basketball tournament, in the football playoffs at the FCS level, the continued dominance by the softball program, the continued dominance by the track and field programs, NDSU is a job that's on people's radar. And while 5-10 years ago, had Gene Taylor left, NDSU would have really had to struggle to try to find someone, I think, to come in and take this job. But now, like you said, people are going to be lining up outside Dean Brashani's door to apply for this job. And again, that's just a testament to what Gene Taylor has helped build here in athletics at North Dakota State.
9 conference championships in the last year alone. I mean, and then all of this turnover that we've seen this year. We referenced it earlier, but we've seen a lot of turnover. Do you think that's helped prepare not only the university but the fan base for this, that like you said and Dean Brashani said, the sky isn't falling? Is that what's making this a pill easier to swallow?
Very much so, Beth. I know some fans still feel like throwing money at these coaches and throwing money at the athletic directors will keep them here. But to be perfectly honest, a lot of coaches come to NDSU, and the more success they have, as you heard Gene say, BCS programs will come calling. And it's hard to turn that down. You don't fault a coach for wanting to take the next step in his career. And I think after all the coaches have gone on to bigger and better things, so to speak, in the men's basketball program, the football coach, Craig Bohl, obviously leaving for Wyoming, and the fans now realize that there's nothing wrong with NDSU building success up, getting to a certain level, and then having that coach go on to bigger and better things because someone else will slide into place. But it does make things a lot easier when, as we mentioned, just the women's basketball coach, the men's basketball coach, the football coach, that in this year alone, with so many championships being won as well, that the fans are, I think, a little desensitized to the shock and awe of a coach leaving for a better opportunity. And for Gene Taylor to get a BCS opportunity, I think everyone wishes him well and wishes him a lot of success at the University of Iowa.
It is certainly not surprising with the success that he has had at this school, in this town, in this state for the last 13 years. Jamal Spencer, again, live at the Fargo Dome. I know you'll be having another sit-down opportunity with Mr. Taylor and a lot more coming up tonight. But a breaking story that we broke for you first here on Valley News Live. Gene Taylor announces this morning he is leaving North Dakota State University to go to the University of Iowa.
It'll be exciting to watch his journey. I really certainly hope that we get to be covering and bringing you football games and basketball games and softball games of Iowa and North Dakota State. Really excited for him. I think that's something you can see echoed across the board from fans, players. I'm sure, you know, he commented on the social media outreach. It'll be exciting to watch him go, exciting to see that NDSU family continue as well with, of course, him moving to work for a former Bison quarterback.
I believe it's his Twitter handle was NDSU Bison AD. So that'll have to change a little bit now, but you can at least still reach out to him for a little bit longer. He's still here for another month or so.
Exactly. He'll stick around until July, kind of take care of some business, roll through some things. He's not leaving high and dry, of course, and he'll be around, so be sure and reach out and shake his hand.
Quite an amazing run for 13 years, and we have a lot more coverage coming up, including, I know we will both be back in the studio. If you missed anything, Valley News Live at noon on KX4 is just 20 minutes away. For now, we will send you back to regularly scheduled programming.